Lakes. I'm Brianna, and I'm currently serving as the Archdeacon for the region, Rivers to Trails. And so while I'm not the rector of this church, thank you to St. Francis for having us here and for giving me a microphone. I always appreciate that. As just saying, I come from a low-tech church, so live streaming, like all this kind of stuff, whatever, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a question and answer time with Bishop Sandra. We've scheduled time for approximately 6 questions. So that's why I said, like, get those burning questions that you'd like to ask the bishop. We have the microphone, so I'll come to you if you put your hand up. And you can ask the question so everyone can hear, and then Bishop Sandra will answer that. In between every question, we're going to do a little game. And it's going to be a different game every time. These are what we call minute-to-win-it games. So they're meant to just be like a minute or so long. They're not supposed to be super long. I've made them as accessible as I possibly can. We do these quite often with our youth group or young people's gatherings because they're good icebreakers, they're fun little things to do, and you'll see as we get into it that really anyone can do some of these, and all you would have to do is go online and search minute-to-win-it games, and you would find a whole plethora of things to do. I said to someone earlier, I said, I'm offering this to you as a resource for things you might do if you ever wanted to gather, young or old alike, but in particular, young people would be familiar with minute-to-win-it games. They've done it at school or they've done it at other gatherings. So we're gonna do those in between, and because I really want you to participate in it, there are prizes, okay? Yeah, there's prizes involved, so you're gonna wanna play the game in order to get the prize. Okay? Sound fair? I think that's all I really need to do by way of explanation. Once we're done this, we will move into a Taizai-style prayer service, and that will conclude our evening. Any questions before we get started? For me, not for the bishop. No? Okay. Anyone have a question that they would like to ask the bishop at this point? Raise your hand. Who's got a question? Do you have a question for Bishop Sandra? What's your question? That sounds like something for mom and dad.
What did you do today?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah. It is a really good question. Today, today I spent time in the region. I began in So I began at St. Luke's Cupboards, where I joined Post for
had an opportunity to share in serving craft dinner to some of the local high school students, and that was like just to see people working together, coming together to serve the community and to offer ways for them to build community with one another. One of the questions I asked this morning was how many people who attend the Two Coves Cafe at St. Luke's are folks who might normally be on their own and might not have family members with them or folks kind of in their home with them to have coffee with. And I understand a number of them would, so that becomes a bit of a way for social interaction, fellowship, community, caring for each other. So that was great. That's a long answer. It was a great day. It was a great day. They're all great days.
Okay.
More questions?
Excellent. While you think of your next question, it's time for our first game.
Right.
Woo!
Right.
Okay.
To win it.
I would like 4 volunteers to come up here. Remember, there's prizes. It's an easy one, so I need some brave volunteers to get us started. Come on. There's one. Okay, come on, Candace. It's easy. It's easy. Nope, you're playing as individuals. You're playing as individuals. I'll get out of your way. You can spread them out. Yeah, if there's only 3, we can do it with 3. That great. That increases your odds of winning, though. What? Excellent. Okay, my friends. You have before you a bowl of mini marshmallows and a small red cup. Your job is to transfer the mini marshmallows into the red cup using chopsticks. You can do, yeah. I'm not telling you how to use the chopsticks. I'm telling you to use the chopsticks. There you go. You gotta wait. I gotta get my timer going. Okay. So the person who is able to transfer the most marshmallows in a minute will win the prize. Okay? Are you ready? On your mark? Leave it on the table, Joe. Okay, yeah, no. One at a time. One marshmallow at a time. One marshmallow at a time, I said. I'm going to just subtract 1 from yours. Okay. On your mark. Get set. Go. No. Okay, you have 15 seconds left.
Your grandson can do better.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Chopsticks down. Okay. Okay. If anyone else would like to come up and look at this, but there's an obvious winner. There you go. Congratulations. The next game will be different, and there's not chopsticks. Okay, so don't let the chopsticks dissuade you if you're interested in the next one. Good job. I mean, you are welcome to keep the marshmallows with the caveat that those are my youth group mini marshmallows, so they've been to other gatherings. No. No, you probably don't want to keep those. Okay. Thank you for participating, friends. So that's how easy it is. Like, you didn't have to like jump up and down or run in circles or anything like that. Like, you don't have to get down on the ground to play these games. They're pretty easy games to do, and you can get a whole group of kids or adults doing them, clearly. Okay, anyone have another question for the bishop? Do Nicola first, and then I'll get Will in the next round.
Bishop Sandra, thank you for being with us today. As someone who looks to your leadership as a model for our own ministries, I'm curious, with such a demanding schedule, what do the practical rhythms of self-care look like for you, and how do you protect that time? Beyond the daily discipline of it, what is the soul-searching practice or quiet refuge that brings you the most joy and keeps your spirit renewed?
That's packed. Yeah, the schedule is pretty packed, and I live about an hour from the city, so I'd say one thing, believe it or not, that's really helpful is actually the drive, because I really find it allows me to kind of just to clear my mind as I'm driving, and I listen to usually Pray As You Go at some point on my drive, and kind of reflect about what's coming ahead, and then the drive home is a way to just kind of let go of what has been. The schedule is really busy, and that's one of the things I actually feel I have to work on. Some of these regional visits too are pretty packed, but actually I'm an extrovert, so it helps to say that because I am energized by being around people, so that part of the work does not exhaust me. I think I was never a priest to be in my office all day. I like to be out in the coffee shop or among people or engaged in ministry in the community or in the church if there were things happening there. So I think for me, those things are really energizing. But I think daily rhythms of prayer, taking time, and taking blocks of time if it can't be 2 days. I rarely get 2 days in a row that are completely free. But I need to work on that. When I can, I do, and I do take them. And I think just working on that, and I think as our staffing has changed, and as we've evaluated kind of what our needs are and what is most helpful, I am finding that I can hand over things to other folks to take care of, and just really focus on what is mine to do. And I think that's also a piece of self-care, I think, to not try to do everything yourself. So other than that, I mean, being at home, I live, our property is on a lake, so just being home, it's a very open home in terms of open ceiling and all of that. And it is, some of it just being in that space. So for me, I'm a visual person too, so where I am matters, making my office a space that has things that visually draw me into prayer or are appealing, or those things matter to me. And being at home, walking, being in nature, going out for drives, that kind of thing really restores me as well. So just making time. But I will say that it's a work in progress. It was easier to do in a parish when I could be a little more specific about my time off, and if I didn't get it, I could get it back. And it's really hard to get it back. But I do take what I can and take advantage. When I go away, I often will add time to my trips when I go to House of Bishops. Sometimes my husband has joined me at the very end, and we've gone to Stratford to see plays together. So just trying to build on what is there. I typically have tried to take one Sunday a month where I'm not in a parish for a particular visit. So that's been something that that's been pretty consistent for my whole term as bishop. Not every month, but almost every month that has been my practice, so that I do have a month. And it doesn't mean I don't worship, it just means I'm not on. And that's been helpful as well, just taking a break and being present with people in the pew and with my family in the pew. That's been important. I don't know if that's full enough to, okay. You're welcome. Another game.
Another game. Do you sit at the back when you just go to church and not do anything? No. I was telling someone
Depends on when I
earlier,
get
said,
there.
"That's what I do. I'll
The
sit."
back seats are usually taken.
Yeah. So when I go into church to not do my job, I'll like
Yeah.
sit at the back. I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, what's happening at the back that everyone wants to sit here? Okay. Okay, I need 2 people for this next game. 2 people. There's no marshmallows and there's no chopsticks. Come on. Ah, yes. It's not revenge. I'm about to give one of you a prize. I don't know why you say revenge. Okay. Yep. Sometimes. If you ever have any issues with me, this is the woman who raised me. And her best friend. So equal blame. Equal blame. I know. Okay, you each have before you 25 cups. Your job is to stack them in a neat, equal pyramid and then take it back down. And the person who does it the quickest wins. See, it has to be in a perfect pyramid. 25. All 25 have to go into a pyramid. I haven't done the math to make sure that works into a pyramid, but the internet said use 25 cups. I didn't play the games before. I didn't play this one before. Okay, and it's just whoever gets it done first. On your mark, get. She really is. On your mark, get set, go. You're not missing one, you just made the pyramid wrong. Yeah. I'm not saying the math works. I've already offered that caveat. Okay, now take it down real quick. Should I have said stack it neatly? You guys will figure it out. You guys will figure it out. It's kind of what I figured. For one of your road trips, ladies. Okay. Will, you had a question last time.
Well, Bishop Sandra, it certainly is a joy to have you in the region. I was wondering if you could tell us about some of the signs of hope you see as you travel around the diocese, as you do regional visits and go to different parishes, signs of hope that you might have seen and that you can bring back for us.
Okay. I would say that in every parish I visit, one of the things I've been doing for quite a while now is asking, when I do parish visits, for an opportunity to meet with parish council after the visit. So we have tea, coffee, and then we meet with parish council, or a grouping of people, but just as a way to intentionally ask some questions about what's going well in the parish, what are some of the challenges you're facing, how can we better support you, and through that, I don't specifically say, where do you see God at work, but I see where God is at work in those parishes when we share, and sometimes those conversations, I say that this takes as long as it takes for you, I've got time, but this is, I'm not going to spend all the time talking, you talk, and I hear stories about, and a lot of it is how parishes are engaging in new ways with their communities, how they're finding ways to reach out to people who are finding them, Sometimes that's through technology, through online services. Sometimes it's seeing a sign, a sandwich board that announces a program or an activity. But everywhere I go, there are things happening that, where people are caring for one another, where there's a program. It was interesting these last few days, like conversations with individuals, because I think if you're talking to people and listening, there are signs of hope everywhere. I think it's just to be willing to see them. I remember Bishop Sue used to say, I think it was someone in her family that encouraged her to watch a video, and we all had to watch it, and some of you will remember it. But it was because this idea is you have to see it to believe it, and this was you have to believe it to see it. And that idea that if you believe that there are signs of hope, you will see them, and I see them. But I think that sometimes they seem small, and they don't seem, and sometimes they're so much a part of the fabric and DNA of the parish that they don't see them as signs of hope. That's just who they are, it's just what they do. So they're very modest, and sometimes we just miss that. But I think I see that everywhere. I see it it's interesting, I was at the cathedral for dinner church, which is something new they've started, so gathering around the Eucharist in the context of a meal that is shared, and they have folks who come from the Shanex facility who are kind of next door and connected to the cathedral, and they have folks who have come in who don't have adequate housing and who normally rely on food programs so that they can eat well, and then they have folks from the cathedral and they have other folks coming. But like some of that sign of hope is seeing people in those different contexts coming together, feeling welcome, and knowing that they belong there, that the church is a place where they too belong, whether they consider themselves parishioners, whether they just happened upon a gathering. We had another moment for me recently was the Walk with the Cross that we held in Halifax, and that had been something that hadn't happened, at least with the cathedral. I know I'm mentioning the cathedral a few times, but these are things that are fairly recent. And meeting with the Roman Catholic community and others, people joining us on the way, and simply just walking along Spring Garden Road and around from St. Mary's Basilica to the cathedral. I think people noticed that we were there, that we were out in the community. And people joined us along the way. There was opportunity for people to share stories as we reflected on pieces of the Passion narrative and reflected on what each piece might be about and some targeted questions. So I think just those opportunities to really, to really engage with folks. I was in Port Bickerton on Sunday, and again, just having opportunity to have conversations with folks and knowing that there are real challenges that parishes are facing, some remote parishes. They're not all rural, but some of them are remote, but seeing opportunities for them to engage in ministry and opportunities to, again, it is about listening well, because I think we have moments where things just feel like we just feel God is really there, and all the pieces are there. We had a moment like that at Beacon House yesterday, and Reverend Kathy Lee was there for that, and some of you were as well, where you just sort of feel, okay, all of this is here, but we can't do this alone. We have to work together with our community. We work with other agencies. There's so much we can do when we work together, but the signs of hope are there, and I think I think too, we have to stop. We often kind of get caught up in looking inward and what we don't have. And I know I've shared this in a column, but one of the things I've started to say in parishes is, if we're just looking for replacement parishioners, we should really just close the doors right now. And if we're just looking for people to pay our bills, then we've really missed the point about why Jesus came into the world. We really need to be thinking about, what do we have to offer the world? What do we have to offer people in our community? And I'm not thinking just about programs. I'm simply about getting to know them, and accompaniment and being neighbors makes a huge difference. And I think that what I hear in some places, when I was on the Dartmouth regional visit too, it was interesting how people could share with me that they started to do some things, and people started to come, and they knew there were needs, and all of a sudden people who had ability to respond to those needs were there. So it didn't start with them looking for help. It started with them just getting to know their neighbors, and then as they get to know them better, they start to understand that here's the gifts that this person might want to offer. But you don't start by looking for the gifts and start looking for what they can do for you. But it always, I think, starts with what we can do. And I know that if that feels like a chore, then I think there needs to be some time spent in discernment and prayer around that too. So maybe people are burned out, maybe some things have to stop, but I think really engaging well with the neighborhood, with the community, and thinking what can we do, and what can we uniquely do, or what can we do in partnership with others. We don't have to do it by ourselves. I was saying the KD lunch, that's a partnership of folks. Some people come to help with things that are not connected to any church, but they believe in what you're doing, and they want to show up, and they want to be a part of it. And you don't know, sometimes those people do end up being part of a church, but at least they have a sense of church being a community of people who care about others and not just themselves, and people who really are loving, caring, safe, reliable community that they can count on. And you hope that builds relationships with folks over time. You just don't know where it goes. So, like I said, I see it everywhere. I look for it though. I look for it, and if it isn't discernible, I keep asking more questions, because I just feel like that. I think we really have to change the narrative about decline and all the stuff that the scarcity stuff is really killing the church, and nostalgia is killing the church. I'll just say, I think that's true too. We kind of want sometimes what we had, and sometimes I hear the line as well, well, we used to have a full Sunday school, and we used to have, and I think about the full Sunday schools. That would have been my era too, like as a child growing up, and getting bolder. I've been a bishop 5 years. I don't know. I realize I need to challenge some of this stuff, because I say, yeah, that was my age group, and we're not in the church, so that didn't work. So stop longing for what didn't work, because I'll turn 60 this year. There aren't a lot of people my age in some of our churches, and if that had been an effective way to build disciples and grow disciples, they would be filling our church right now, but they're not. So to just not see that, not that it wasn't valuable in its way, but we don't have to go back to what was. We need to start from where we are now and go forward and think of other ways to engage families and their community. And sometimes you don't have families in your community. You don't have young people in your community, and that's okay. There's lots of opportunities to engage older folks in your community, and those are just as important, and needs that can be addressed, and gifts that are there to be offered. Well, does it give you enough of a, okay, I can go on. You're welcome.
Time for another game. It's way more fun than answering questions. Okay. Who would like to play a game? This one can take as many people. I have room for more than 2 people for this one. There can be multiple people for this one. Sim, you want to play? Okay. It's not chopsticks. You missed the chopstick one. Okay. You know what one you're getting, don't you? They're gluten-free cookies, so everyone can participate. Okay, what you're going to do. And they're double stuffed. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take a cookie. You have to win first. You're going to put it on your forehead. Oh, no. And you have to get it into your mouth without using your hands. Okay? Yeah, so you might want to take your glasses off. You can't, no, just using your facial movements, we want you to get it into your mouth. You might want to you don't need to see, you need to feel it. Owen, do you want to play too? Okay, you're not just going to take this cookie and eat it, are you? He's like, I'm out. I'll let you take your own cookie. You can have your own cookie. You can come play, Owen. It's totally fine. Yeah. Here you go. Take a cookie. Okay. Yep, you got it. Okay. So like this, Owen? Yeah. Okay, are we ready? and go. If it falls off your face, pick it up and try again. We need someone can win, right? Oh, Cynthia's almost there. Good job, Cynthia. That's probably one of the fastest times I've seen someone do that. I think you've practiced that. I have a small.
It was the incentive of the double stuffing.
To go with your cookie. Do you want a cookie? No. Okay, once everyone sits down, we got it. We're ready. You can take those, absolutely. I mean, as long as mom and dad say it's okay.
Yes, of course.
Good evening, Bishop Sue. Or, look, do you,
It's not the
guess
first time.
who goes to my church, Sandra?
There's another question.
You've been a bishop for 5 years,
Yep.
and you would have had expectations of the job when you took it. Oh.
Okay.
Pardon? Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay. Bishop Sandra. Good evening. There, I got the right name this time. You've been a bishop for 5 years, and you would have had expectations of the job going into it. So what are surprising things that have happened over the last year that you had no idea and that surprised you?
That's a good question. I think some of the surprises are, for me, resources that are available that I didn't know we had. We had a student come in and do some work for us over a summer and look at trust funds and figure out kind of what was available and what could be used for what kinds of ministries or initiatives. So that's been a huge surprise because I really came in, and I remember the first diocesan council meeting I attended after I'd been elected, but I wasn't consecrated yet. And there was, I don't mean to be poetic, but there was a lot of doom and gloom in the room. It was, and I remember Will Ferry was the executive secretary of Synod, and I said, "Is it always like this?" And Will might have said yes, and I said, "Why does anybody come? Why does anybody come? Like, you can't run a church this way." Because I just, where's the incentive? And when I was in a parish ministry, and we kept talking about deficit, finally at one parish council meeting, I say, every time you say that and people give more and you say it the next year, they start to wonder if they're supporting the Titanic, like it's a sinking ship. Why would I continue to invest more? And how do you inspire people to give of themselves to, if the church is dying and the diocese is dying, which I don't believe it is, then how do you inspire people with that? So again, like, what are the resources? What do we need? If we don't have the resources, where are they? So I think I've been surprised by that, because I knew I was coming into a diocese where I think people I knew were discouraged. It was during COVID. People were discouraged and tired, and clergy were learning all kinds of new skills they didn't know they'd need in this kind of way. And so I think morale for a lot of people was really low. And so those are the kinds of things I knew. I don't think I realized how much we could do to be supportive and how we could enable ministry mission. And some of that is recent. I think too, I'll just go back to expectations. I really expected when I began my ministry that it wouldn't be long before I'd be able to do kind of a listening tour around the diocese. I remember writing about that. And that really just never happened, because partly COVID, partly changes we had in staffing. Very quickly I came on and people retired, and we were trying to staff positions, and we were trying not to just fill holes. We were trying to actually think, what do we need now? This person has been really faithful, and they've had an excellent ministry, but is this what we need now? We don't know. Like, that's been great. So how do we do an audit and consider where we are? And so I think I'm really feeling like this year I'm finally able, and the last part of last year feeling like I'm finally, actually the 5-year mark has been a bit of a turning point for me in terms of being able to do some of the things that I really wanted to do from the very beginning. But again, like the surprises are still in the moments that you think something's not possible and all of a sudden you start talking about it and you go, oh wow, this actually, we could do this. We had a moment in Diocesan Council, it's Diocesan Executive Council now, but then it was Diocesan Council where, you know, we considered a request by the YWCA to support a housing project, and we've been talking about homelessness and the need to offer support for those who were housing insecure. And it just all felt overwhelming. We didn't know how to tackle it. We just didn't know what we could do. And then a request came that we thought we could respond to. And it was an interesting meeting because as people asked questions, we had someone who we could call right away if we didn't have the answers to answer our questions. And it was one of those moments where it wasn't one person who turned the tide, because there was some real question and some hesitation. And then each person that kind of spoke said something that made a difference in a positive way. You know, well, if you look at what this might cost, and if we took that for every day, it would be like, and it was a minuscule amount of money if you looked at it in a different way. And I think it was like, oh, is that all? Like, all of a sudden, it doesn't seem so insurmountable. And somebody else, you know, shared another piece, and it just was this moment where you saw, oh gosh, I don't know that this is going to go forward. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, that ripple effect of one person says something, and then people's perspective shifts. So those things are always surprises. And I think it's not a surprise to me, but I think just knowing that the voices around us have the answers if we listen. So I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to gather people around me who can fill in those gaps and the blanks and help. And I think the diocese is really poised to really think differently. And we're in the midst of a strategic planning process, as many of you will know. And if you don't, please engage in it in some way. There's some folks here in the room that are part of the guiding group and have been part of other gatherings for clergy and laity. But really trying to listen and pay attention to where we need to go from here as a diocese and what we need to support and where God is calling us. It's not just about what we think or what we'd like. It's really, you know, where is God calling us to be and how is God calling us to serve? And I still, again, feel very hopeful about the church. It's going to change, but I'm not afraid of change. I think, you know, we need to be adaptive in how we think of things, and it doesn't mean we have to let go of everything we've loved. But things will change, and we need to embrace that, I think. And I think new people will come, and they need to be welcomed. And if there's no possibility for anything to change, that's sometimes discouraging for folks who come in and have ideas to share. So, yeah. So, you're welcome. Another game.
Who's been wanting to play a game? We have time. Okay. 2, 3 volunteers. Who wants to come up? I'm not even going to put supplies out yet because I'm not telling you what the game is. Yeah. Come on. Oh, we got some people coming. Yeah, there's one. We got a taker. Okay, excellent. Okay. We'll do this head to head. No chopsticks. I'm putting the chopsticks away. Put the cookies away. Okay. So we're going to get one of you at either end of the table because it's fun that way. Okay. This game is called Flip Cup. Flip Cup. So what you're going to do is we're going to start with our cup on the edge of the table like this. And you guys each have 5. I'm going to try and demonstrate with 1. And you're going to do this until it does that. And the first person to get all 5 of their cups flipped wins Flip Cup. See? Just like that. But do it 5 times in a row. No. Yeah. Okay, so it's not timed, it's just whoever gets their 5 done first. On your mark, get set, go. Nice try, though. Oh, you're too strong. There you go, you got one. No, other way. There you go. We're tied 2 to 1. Oh, one more. Oh. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you. There's still more games to come, so. And again, they're all that easy. These are really fun things to do just to get some energy going in the room. And like I said, young and old alike can do it. And they really like prizes. Okay, anyone else have a question? You want to do it? I got more. I got more for you. Don't you worry. I got another game coming up for you. I know you're going to love it. Okay, questions. Who's got a question burning on their hearts?
Hi. The new shared ministry, what do you think? Is it got legs? What do you think of it?
In general, for shared ministry, well, I will tell you that everywhere I go, well, when I talk to other bishops and people in other dioceses, people are seeing this as the future, or not everywhere, but I think the church will look different in the sense that there will be more shared ministries. They won't be I think all ministry is shared ministry, first of all, but I think parishes coming together, but it won't be, I don't think the idea of a parish sharing ministry just to share a rector is really what these new arrangements are meant to be about. It really is about how to work together and offer various gifts. So there will be some things that parishes do individually on their own. Some of their worship will continue to be theirs. There might be times when parishes come together, or if it's an Anglican United shared ministry, then they'll come together for worship. Mostly, though, they'll do that on their own, but it enables, there's real capacity building in this for what you can do together that you couldn't do by yourself. So in the Digby situation where that was an ecumenical shared ministry, they might have had a few people interested in some social justice initiatives in each of those congregations, but there weren't really enough people to make that anything really viable. But if all of a sudden from 2 people you have 5, you can start with that and do something. You can do something with more people. So I think that in that way, but these shared ministries really have to be team-based, and they can't be, again, a rector solo leading these parishes without a sense that they're building a team around them. And some of us do that anyway, I hope, and I think that we do, but I think they need to be collaborative in other kinds of ways. So, because we've done this before, and it really, for some clergy, I think has just been an exercise in burnout in terms of feeling like what you're doing is just, doubling up the, what you're doing, and you're just kind of sharing that with having one person lead that. I don't think that's a recipe for success for the future. I don't think that's sustainable. But if we can do this in a way that there is shared lay leadership, there are rectors in place in these parishes, and where maybe what we're seeing is a rise in the number of associate priests, people who are discerning a call to be associate parish priests, and people who are discerning a call to be vocational deacons. So I think we have to be open to this being a different kind of, it's not rector-based, and I think if we could see it that way, I see real potential for that. But it really means parishes have to look at themselves and think about, I think, how they can work together more collaboratively. And sometimes they don't see that from the beginning, but it becomes obvious as they enter these relationships. Because as they get to know one another and as they share with one another and even just attend each other's events, then community builds, and then from that, ideas emerge, or they help each other with things, and so it grows. But it's kind of based on that relationship building, I think. But I do think this, it won't be the case everywhere in that kind of technical way that we're calling a shared ministry arrangement or an ecumenical shared ministry, but it really has, like in a place like Digby, it's interesting, like and now on the Eastern Shore in Tangier, the parish of Tangier, where parishes for a while were really despairing of finding a half-time priest to serve as their rector. They have someone full-time, but full-time who's shared, but it's not just 50-50, like it's, you know, it's like if you're a couple, you share things 50-50, but you don't really. Like there's always, someone does a little more of that and someone does a little more of the other, and so it's not, no one's kind of counting the pennies and the time, I hope. I think it's, you know, you realize that it's something that you share, and again, you couldn't have done a lot, you couldn't have done as much with a half-time rector sometimes as you can working collaboratively. Some part-time ministries actually are very successful, so please don't hear me say that they're not. They work really well, and I've seen that across the diocese as well. But where that works really well, I think, is when parishes have been really realistic about what is the role of the priest and what is our role and what do we do to support ministry, how do we lead in ministries, and what, you know, knowing what's ours to do and not expecting the rector to do it all. So I think it's given hope to parishes where I think they'd started to think nothing was possible, you know, that maybe there wasn't a future for them. They were just really discouraged. And I think it's been, where it's happened, it's been really, in my experience, it's been really positive. You're welcome. Another game. And soon time to worship.
Okay. 2 people, please. Please. 2 people. One more person. There's one more game after this. So if you haven't participated, now's your chance. This one's not too bad. Bishop? Okay. Yeah. Did you know you can buy a giant thing of ping pong balls at the Dollarama? I had no idea until recently. So your supplies for Minute to Win It games are not super expensive or hard to find. They are things you may or may not have. I did not have this in my house. I did have to go buy it today. Okay. Yeah. Should be pretty straightforward. 5 ping pong balls, 5 cups. First one to land a ping pong ball in each. Yeah, you gotta stop. You just gotta drop it into the cup. Yeah. That's all you gotta do. All you gotta do is drop it into the cup. Ready? Okay. Will, just wait. Wait, Will. On your mark. Can you do it without like bending all the, like don't bend over to drop it in. Yeah. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. Close. So close. No, it's so... I'm going to be playing this game for a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right? If anyone wants to take 5 ping pong balls on your way home, I have some to spare. Okay. We, I think, have scheduled one more question for this because I have one more game left. So, any questions? Okay.
this isn't so much a question as an observation. What you said earlier really struck me as, why would anybody want to come if all it is doom and gloom? And I think that resonates particularly at this time in our country's life and the, Cheeto down below. But I think we need to look at that at church as well and say, why would anybody, if somebody is struggling, I don't watch the news because it's too depressing. I hear enough of it. I do get enough news to know what's going on in the world, sort of, but not so that I want to just give up. So I think it's really important that our churches present something positive to give to our community.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things we do really well here. But do you have any other suggestions on how we can really embrace that and give that tangible positivity to our communities besides, we do.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you one of the things I do that I've been doing since I've been bishop, with only a few exceptions, is when there are confirmation candidates or people wanting to be received into the Anglican Communion or reaffirming vows, I meet with them on Zoom, and because the first time I presided at confirmation, it was during lockdown, and we would have to wear masks, and we wouldn't have even been able to see each other's faces. So we just thought, this is a way we can see each other's faces. And then I shared a little bit about my faith journey with them on Zoom, and then asked them a little bit. And some of those conversations, many of those conversations really talk about what you're saying. And what struck me recently in the Dartmouth region when we had a confirmation service on the Feast of the Presentation, early February, it was interesting how many people who spoke about their faith journey, it was really about coming into a place where they felt welcome. People quickly learned their name. I want to say some of this is really not hard to do. Really, but you have to do it with intention. So knowing people's names, getting to know their names, sometimes noticing that they weren't there if they miss a week and they come back, not to say, where were you, but we're so glad you're back. We missed you. You have no idea what that means to people who have been struggling to find a place to belong. And I really believe that if we could help people find a place where they belong, I say it's a Cheers thing, right? Where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. I say that a lot, but it's true. I think that, and from that something grows. It's not just about a social club, that's not what I'm saying, but it starts with welcome, and it starts before they ever meet any of the clergy, typically. Who's on the door greeting, how do they welcome? In some parishes, out in St. Petersburg Cove, they have a door with a metal door, and they've got name tags. And they said, when I went to visit, they had a name tag for me. If someone visits there once, they get their name, and the next week there's a name tag for them on the door. If they never come back, they never come back. But if they come back, they'll find their name on a name tag on that door. So that intentionality, you might not have name tags, but just how do you, there you go. But if you don't, how do you do that? Who do you introduce people to? Who welcomes them? And then I think being open to the kinds of questions that people have. One of the ways that I think the church hasn't been always good at engaging questions, and I think we lose a lot of young people because they start to have questions, and I think particularly around science and faith, and we don't really know how to engage that. And I think if we can't engage those real questions, or how do we believe in a God with all that's happening in the world? If you can't talk to somebody about some of that with a sense of hope, then if you just say, well, you just got to believe, that really doesn't cut it. People are smart and they want to know more. And so I think asking, being ready to respond to someone asking you, why are you here? What gives you hope? Why do you believe in this God? I think we really have to be ready to answer those questions. Because people, and they mean them, they're not looking for you to convince them. They just they deeply want to know why it makes sense, because they're not sure it does. And I think there's a lot of searching out there, and I think we're at a place where there's real renewal that's happening. We're seeing young adults coming back to church in record numbers because and not in every parish, I know, but we're seeing it in parishes here. I know that one parish in Dartmouth, they said they've had an increase of over 20% in the last 2 years. And some of that's just really knowing who they are, what they can offer, getting to know the people who come in the door, welcoming them, connecting them with other people or whatever else is happening in the parish that they think they might appreciate being part of. But it's the getting to know people. It starts with the welcome. It really does. And then research shows that too. I think the first 7 minutes are the most, used to be that the first 7 minutes are the most influential in terms of whether somebody will come back to church or not. And that's before they ever usually meet any of the clergy. So it's not all on the clergy. It really does matter when they walk in. If somebody is chatting to somebody else and they walk in and nobody says hello to them, nobody engages them in conversation, or, we're glad you're here, welcome, and it's attentive to, are they struggling to follow the service? We have lots of books and papers and everything. Like, how do we help them? But like, young people are interested. They're curious. There's not as much negativity always as there is curiosity. And how do we engage that? Some parishes have put out, sandwich boards in front of the parish. I think they did this in Berwick. Have questions, and they had a series. It wasn't Alpha, but it was a series about dealing with questions of life, and they just had a big sandwich board out with a bunch of question marks saying, have questions, come on in, you're welcome. So again, letting people know that they can come into church with questions and they're welcome. They don't have to be sure what they believe, because I think people do sometimes feel, I have to know and be able to sign on to everything before I can walk through the door. But to say that you come with your doubts and you ask your questions and you meet people and you journey together. So, I don't always think, I know sometimes that's different when you're in when you're in an area where there's depopulation, people are moving out, there just isn't, or there's another local church in another denomination that really has more resources, or they've kind of got the monopoly on people. Like, sometimes I know that you can do that as much as you can, and it may not grow in any big way, the congregation, but in a lot of places, I think it does. Yeah.
I think it's really important to have fun ministers that are
Yes.
stuffy and are pretentious.
Unstuffy, okay. Yes, yeah. I've heard stuffy, but not, unstuffy. That's good. No, I agree. I think when I was young, I had questions, and it wouldn't have occurred to me that I could have asked my parish priest questions. I asked the lay people who were preparing me for confirmation, and they didn't quite know what to do with my questions, and I just told to memorize the creed, and that was, and they weren't unkind. I don't think they knew the answer, but they didn't say, let me talk to the priest, or, well, you should really talk to, Reverend Otter. He'll be happy to answer that for you. So nobody did that. It was just, you don't need to know that. Well, I kind of did. But I didn't know the answer till I went to seminary, so I shouldn't have to go to train for ordained ministry to find an answer to your question you asked when you were 11 years old, but there you go. So I agree with that. Yeah. Cynthia?
I don't actually have a question, just a comment, and I've sort of been sitting with it now. Based on what you just said, I feel like I need to verbalize.
Microphone.
I don't actually have a question. It's more of a comment, and I guess something that I think is important that we consider. There's two particular populations within the life of the church that concern me in particular right at this time. And I think they reflect both sort of ends of the spectrum, as it were, and the different kinds of congregations you've spoken about tonight. And one particular group, and I think because of my work and personal experience as well, is the group, the cohort of our population and in our churches that are experiencing significant frailty and who are experiencing cognitive decline or changes in their thinking, changes in the way they respond to being challenged, changes in the way they understand what we say, or in their physical expression, and whether or not that's a diagnosed neurocognitive disorder like dementia or something else. I think our churches, and I hope somehow I can contribute, have some work to do in that ministry of understanding how do we still help people feel they belong when the ways that they want to contribute or have always contributed or are thinking about contributing might either not work anymore or look different, because I think what they bring to the congregation is just as important but looks maybe different. And I think becoming a dementia-friendly communities is a really critical thing that we need to address immediately with the huge predicted increase in dementia in our province before 2030. It's astounding. So anyway, something to think about. But the other group, and this is what made me speak up, I guess, because I sort of had that weird feeling inside when you said the thing about the young person who asks the questions. So actually, just last night, I spent an hour and 15 minutes at the post-supper table with my 16-year-old, where I said, I really hope you can come to church with me on Sunday. And because he hasn't been here in a while and was away for Easter and so on. And we've always, he's grown up knowing Christianity. And I could tell that there was something that was uncomfortable. So I just sat with it. And I said, he said, well, yeah, I want to sleep in. I usually sleep in, da-da-da. I said, I know you need sleep, but I'm telling you in advance, I'd really like you to come on Sunday. We're playing good music. I said, whatever, we'll sell it. Anyway, I could see him struggling. And he went on to say, he's like, Mom, I know you're not going to like this, but I just don't know if I can believe it. And I said, I'm really glad you said that out loud because I'd be concerned if you didn't say that at some point, because I've never raised you to want to just believe without question. But we got into this conversation. I tried to do a lot of listening and not a lot of talking. But for me, it became really evident because I was thinking about him and different from our other two children who have their own experience. But that cohort of teens that's coming through right now have lived through COVID, so they've gone through a period in their life where they've been disconnected, some by choice or not, by this period of time. And then social media has become more and more important, and I'm realizing that what my son is actually observing is a lot more of a polarized approach to religion than what I ever would have had for him to know, and that's more prolific in society and social media and all those things. So we had this very, I think it was a great conversation, and he said, I don't know if you're gonna convince me. And I said, I'm not here to convince you, actually. I'm here to tell you that, I hope that you do come because you need places where you can go and ask questions, and I'm telling you, you can. But he's already in the door. Like, there's so many that just don't even have a chance. So I think that's where it comes down to that need to collaborate and to be out there, to be connected. Even if, we got to be really creative in how we open our doors because there's a whole cohort of young people that have been shut down for a period of their life and have had to find other ways to connect that are screaming in their ear and haven't had the experience to be able to be welcomed or to feel comfortable. So I don't know, it really resonated with me, and so I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you how we do that, but I'm going to ask you to help us think about it.
Well, I can say just a couple of things quickly. I will say with the dementia comment you made, the comment about being more dementia aware and kind of reaching out. We had an experience like that in my former parish, where somebody who'd been attending regularly was a member of the clergy who was living with dementia, and his wife would bring him, and sometimes he would, just kind of have a little bit of an outburst while the sermon was happening or while people were reading. Like it wasn't anything, it wasn't anything rude. He just wouldn't know that he shouldn't talk then. Like the filters go, right? My mother went through that as well. She'd talk and like, Mom, you're supposed to be quiet right now. And at one point his wife said, and we were at the back of the church having coffee and there were a few of us around, and she said, I think I have to stop bringing him to church. And before I could say something, there were people in the parish who said, please don't stop coming to church. What can we do to help you? We understand. Please don't, this is not disruptive because it would be, we want you here. So I think but I bet you for every one of her, there's somebody who doesn't say that out loud, like your son doesn't voice it. And then how do we help to create spaces where people can do that. And then how do we facilitate that confusion of following along? Our services are very long often. That's really hard for someone with dementia. It's hard for young people too sometimes. So are there things we could do? And I think just becoming aware, becoming educated, having folks come in to talk about dementia awareness. So and looking at the facility to say what are things we can do that there might be small things we can do that would make a difference. But I think even letting people know you're welcome. If that happens, you're still welcome. But we have to know that, and they have to trust us enough to say that out loud or for us to have that conversation with them. And and with young people, I think it's looking at, are there other needs that we can fill or respond to in the church for young people, because it's all about relationship building, and I think unless there's trust, people aren't going to ask their questions. My kids would get questions. My kids are 23 and 21, and when they were in school, they would get questions, and we would talk about that. When they found out what her mother did for a living when I was a parish priest, and they would have questions. Oh, the church is, and they wouldn't even have questions. Mostly they made statements. Oh, the church doesn't welcome, people who, are gay or lesbian or trans or binary, and we would talk about how do you respond to that, and so we talked about ways to respond to that, so that she could say, actually, our church, that's not our church. Actually, our church, and she had things to say. So we talked about talking points almost, so that she could respond to that with her friends. And I think there is, as you say, there's a real need for some of that. But the questions are important, and we have to ask, we have to offer those, or find spaces for people to do that. And it is about building relationships and figuring out are there other ways. I thought about it at St. Thomas yesterday, just the fact that these young people know that you're here and you're serving them, there's no expectation. You're not saying, please come to church. You're not saying, we expect something back for what we're doing for you. It's just come and you're welcome. And we say hello. They're hungry. Come hungry and eat and get a second helping, right? And they're very polite. A lot of young men. But just that, are there other ways we can connect with them and engage with them and meet them where they are? And when I would have office hours at the coffee shops, I would wear my collar because I thought people needed to see that clergy have laptops and cell phones and just our ordinary people who drink coffee, and just the more we can make our presence normative in that kind of way, I think that's important. And that's easier to do in small town communities maybe than it is in a metro environment where communities are dispersed. But anyway, those are some thoughts. I have a whole article I'm probably going to write about Christian education around how we move people from inherited faith to owned faith, because I think there's a whole, that searching phase we often we don't get it wrong, we just don't do it. We don't really engage it, so they never get to the place where they can claim a faith that is theirs, that they can articulate, because we just leave them here with their questions. And some adults have just stopped asking questions and have just accepted, okay, I need to believe this over here and believe that over here, and I don't really put them together because I can't figure them out, so I'll believe this, and I know that, and I'm not gonna ask myself the question. So I think that means that young people sometimes don't have someone to talk to because we haven't taught their parents, and we haven't taught their grandparents about some of those questions. So anyway, I know that's longer than all of this is, but it's good conversation and good to be thinking about these things.
Quick thing?
Okay. We might
Just
have-
wanted to share, I was looking at an old book today, and it's the 50th anniversary of a church in Port aux Basques, and on one of the pages it said when it was his first confirmation service in 1927, they had 86 men confirmed and 62 women confirmed. That was quite a service.
It was the first one. They hadn't done it yet. They didn't have that many the next week, I bet.
Might have been the baby boom too, which I heard on the radio. We should have been planning for the needs around dementia and senior care because we knew the baby boom happened. We did nothing to prepare for it. And they're talking about society, government, all of that. So that was the blip, though. That wasn't normative. And I think we keep going back to something that wasn't the norm. That was a really unexpected spike in population. And the church kind of planned for that, and then it went away, and we think we failed when actually we're just in a different place now. That's not likely to come again, we don't know, but it's not likely to happen again. But it's encouraging to see that. But what I see is a lot of the people who do come for confirmation really are able to kind of talk about why they're there, and which is something I couldn't really do when I was 11 years old and being confirmed. But it is encouraging to see that. I wonder where they are now.
One last game. I saved the best for last. One last game. Oh no. I'm telling you, it's the best one. Who wants to play? Come on. Come on. You know you want to. You don't even know, but trust me, you do. Come on. You coming, Sim? Excellent. Excellent. Who wants to play? We can have as many as we want. Well, maybe not like 50, but we could have some extras. What do you say? Me and you? Okay. Okay. Do you see something up here that I haven't used yet? What haven't I used yet for this? You can't remember the name? The candy. We haven't used the candy yet up here. Okay. Do you want to hold this for a second? Thank you. You say Skittles? If there were Skittles, would that have changed your mind? Okay, so similar to the marshmallow game, we have a plate of Skittles before us, and we are going to try to move the Skittles from one plate to the other plate using a straw. Yeah, do you want to time it? So we have 1 minute to transfer as many as we can. Now, I'll give you a little tip on how we do this, because there is a way that you can do it, okay? Do you want to see? So we're going to go like this. So you have to like suck up on the straw to get the Skittle and then move it over to the other tray. Sound good? Do you think you can move more over than me? You can. I love the confidence. Fantastic. Okay. Okay.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Halfway there.
I only have 10. You're not allowed that plate. Okay. Fair enough. It's getting too late for plates. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to take like 2 to 3 minutes to clean this up and get ready for our prayer service. We're going to light some candles around the area to kind of set an ambient scene. And I don't think I need much from all of you. I'm going to track down someone to read a lesson, but that's about it. Okay? So if you need to use the washroom or clean up your snack or whatever, but we'll just take 2 to 3 minutes to do this real quick.
What key? Because I can't hold one. So it's in B flat. So 194. I'm playing some of them. So 194 is in B flat. And Cynthia was, she lowered it. I don't know. She didn't say. Have to ask her when she gets back here, I guess. No, bathroom back. No, down back. Because we can. And the second Lord Jesus Christ is makes it quite high. So I don't know whether she lowered it to A or G or. I don't think I'll play it. We'll just sing it. We'll just sing it in a lower key. The guy, I figured it out. The guy moved it to E minor. Moved it to E, the first chord of the E minor, and then I could capo up from E minor to F minor or F sharp minor. So the 563. No, second one. That's the second one. Yeah. 563 is quite fast, but I don't want it that fast. hid. 563. Yep. Then I got lights anyway.
I ate too much cheese.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this.
I didn't know what key to lower the other song to.
Oh, it's -2 when we get to that.
194?
Yeah, -2, yeah. So we'll see how it's going, then I might decide to go into some harmonies, but we'll see. Keep doing it. Yeah, did we just? I just realized I'm much more comfortable if I'm sitting behind the keyboard.
Yeah, I'm much more comfortable behind the guitar.
There you go.
going to do this evening is a short prayer service, but it's called a Taizé prayer service. And Taizé is actually a community, an ecumenical Christian monastic order in Taizé, France, which is where this comes from. Their times of prayer and worship are marked by chanting and periods of long silence in which one can reflect and spend time in prayer and in meditative thoughts. So you'll see as we go through this, there will be what are called the chants come up on the screen. Each chant is only 2 or 3 lines long, but we repeat the chant several times. So that's part of entering into this prayerful time, is to repeat something over and over again. And it's really neat when done in that type of community, as the chant sort of builds and then fades away. And quite often they'll do it, a large number of times until it just sort of filters down into a time of silence. For timing purposes and to make you all a bit more comfortable with what we're going to do, we're going to sing each chant approximately 6 to 7 times. So you'll have time to get into the rhythm of it and time to get a sense of what it is that we are doing. We're grateful to some of the music team here at St. Francis who will be leading us through this. I know this is not a familiar prayer service for many, but for those who are familiar and who like it, I know you're looking forward to it. So everything will be up on the screen. There will be some bolded stuff that we will say together, and there will be in the midst of it a time of silence. So I invite you in that time to reflect on what your day has been, what tomorrow may bring, and some thanksgiving for this community that we are grateful to be a part of this evening. This is our opening chant. us pray. Risen Christ, companion on the way, break through the disillusionment and despair which cloud our vision, so that we may find our way and journey on as messengers of your good news. Amen. We'll read Psalm 86 responsively, with you responding with the bolded sections. Incline your ear, O Lord, and answer me, for I am poor and needy.
Preserve my life, for I am devoted to you. Save your servant who trusts in you. You are my God.
Be gracious to me, O Lord, for to you do I cry all day long.
Gladden the soul of your servant, for to you, O Lord, I lift up my soul.
For you, O Lord, are good and forgiving, abounding in steadfast love to all who call on you.
Give ear, O Lord, to my prayer. Listen to my cry of supplication.
In the day of my trouble I call on you, for you will answer me.
There is none like you among the gods, O Lord, nor are there any works like yours.
All the nations you have made shall come and bow down before you, O Lord, and shall glorify your name.
For you are great and do wondrous things. You alone are God.
Teach me your way, O Lord, that I may walk in your truth. Give me an undivided heart to revere your name.
I give thanks to you, O Lord my God, with my whole heart, and I will glorify your name forever.
For great is your steadfast love towards me. You have delivered my soul from the depths of Sheol.
O God, the insolent rise up against me. A band of ruffians seeks my life, and they do not set you before them.
But you, O Lord, are a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness.
Turn to me and be gracious to me. Give your strength to your servant. Save the child of your serving maid.
Show me a sign of your favor, so that those who hate me may see it and be put to shame.
Because you, Lord, have helped me and comforted me.
The Lord be with you. Also with you. The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
On the same day, 2 of the followers of Creator Sets Free, Jesus, were walking to village of Warm Springs, Emmaus, 7 miles out from village of Peace, Jerusalem. As they walked along, they were talking about all that had happened. Creator Sets Free, Jesus, came alongside them as they walked, but their eyes were kept from seeing who he was. He said to them, "What are you talking about?" They stopped walking, and a look of sadness fell over their faces. One of the men, honored by his father, Cleopas, answered him, "How can you not know about the things that have happened in village of Peace, Jerusalem? You must be coming from far away." "What are the things you're talking about?" he asked. "About Creator Sets Free, Jesus, from Seed Planter Village, Nazareth. He was a prophet from the Great Spirit, with powerful medicine, who did many good things among all the people. The head holy men and other leaders handed him over to the people of iron, Romans, to be put to death on the cross. We had hoped that he would free the tribes of wrestles with Creator, Israel, from the people of iron, Romans. It is now the 3rd day since they killed him on the cross. But today some women told us an amazing story. Early this morning, they went to his burial cave and found that his body was not there. They told us about visions of spirit messengers who told them he was alive. Some of our men went to see with their own eyes and found the empty cave, but they did not see Creator Sets Free." "Why are your hearts so slow to believe the words of the prophets?" he said. "It should be clear to you that the chosen one would suffer first before he would be lifted up and honored above all." So Creator Sets Free told them his story, beginning with drawn from the water, Moses, and all the prophets. He showed them how all the ancient sacred teachings were written about the chosen one and pointed the way to him. They still did not know it was Creator Sets Free talking to them. As they entered the village, he walked on as if to go farther. They said to him, "Please stay with us. It is late and the sun will soon set." So he went into the lodging house with them. When they sat down to eat a meal together, Creator Sets Free took some fry bread into his hands. He gave thanks and broke it, giving each of them a piece. Suddenly, their eyes were opened, and they knew who he was, but he vanished right in front of them. The men looked at each other with wide-eyed wonder and said, "It felt like our hearts were on fire when he was talking with us on the road, showing us the meaning of the sacred teachings." They got up without finishing their meal and walked back to village of Peace, Jerusalem, as fast as they could, for the sun was setting. They found where the 11 had gathered together with the others. They were saying, "Our wisdom keeper is alive. He has shown himself to one who hears, Simon." So the 2 men told them what had happened on the road and how their eyes were opened when Creator Sets Free broke the fry bread into pieces. This is the gospel of Christ.
Is strong. Risen Christ, may we meet you in these moments together, walking on the way, listening to your word, and hearing your voice. Amen. This passage is really a familiar one, and most of us will hear it again on Sunday with new opportunities to reflect and consider all that it has to offer us. Some of us probably can think about reflections, words, images from this passage that stay with us that we could almost recite by heart, even though we've heard this in a different translation. Those words, we had hoped. We had hoped. Why are your hearts so slow to believe? Or maybe the image of Jesus taking bread in this version from the First Nations version of the New Testament, Jesus taking fry bread, blessing it and breaking it. Or maybe that line, were not our hearts burning within us? Or as we heard tonight, it felt like our hearts were on fire. And we hear those words, their eyes were opened. For me, as I've been sitting with this passage, the turning point in the story and what sticks with me is when these two men, not knowing who Jesus was at that point, invite him to stay with them. Please stay with us. It is late, and the sun will soon set. I think it's a turning point because maybe something in what he says has spoken to their hearts. I also, if for a moment they stop worrying about their own situation and see somebody who's about to walk away alone when it's dark, after a long walk, 7 miles, maybe without having eaten. And so I like to think in an act of hospitality and grace, and maybe knowing they have something to offer too, even with their broken hearts, they invite Jesus to come and be with them. Please stay with us. It is late, and the sun will soon set. Throughout my time in the region and other parts of the diocese, I hear stories about people who we walk with, we encounter along the way wherever we find ourselves, in our churches, in our communities, in the grocery store, at the food bank or the shelter, wherever it may be, at the high school. We're offering support in other ways along the beach. We encounter people. And I wonder, are there opportunities for us to say, please stay with us. Please come and be with us. The sun will soon set. It is late. In the moment that those moments after, they extend a welcome, and Jesus turns to come and be with them and walk with them into that inn or house, whatever it is, to eat with them. They discover who he really is. And sometimes I think as church, we often consider that we are the ones who have Jesus to offer. One of my former professors used to say, we don't take Jesus anywhere. And I remember somebody saying, we don't? And he said, no, because Jesus is already there ahead of us. How do we see the possibility that Jesus is in the person who is in need, is in the person who has shared something with us, is in the person for whom life might be dark, someone who might be hungry, someone who might need friendship, someone who knows their name, who cares, who is willing to offer an invitation, maybe not into their home in that way, but certainly into some kind of connection with something life-giving and sustaining. know that we have all likely had moments where we have had those sorts of encounters. Moments when we have been those reaching out to others, only to find perhaps sometimes that Jesus is present in them, and we're the ones who are blessed. I remember driving along Connaught Avenue, and there are often panhandlers there, people who need money. And so while I was stopped at the light, I put my window down and gave the person who was seeking money some money. And he said, "God bless you." And I thought for a moment, isn't that interesting? You know, I'm a bishop in the church. I offer something, it seems so small, and someone says to me, "God bless you." And I thought, Jesus was in that moment, and he was outside of the car in that person. How do we see that? How do we open our eyes to see Jesus reflected in the people around us? How do we open our hearts to experience that desire for relationship, desire for friendship, desire for community that we can offer? And how does Jesus show up in those moments, in the places we don't always expect, but filling us with that burning desire to go out and respond in ways that perhaps only we can, individually or as a community. So tonight, as we sit and as I reflect on my experiences and some of what we've shared even this night, I'm grateful for the ways that Jesus shows up in you and in your communities, in our churches and parishes around this region and beyond, and how we might meet Jesus in our daily encounters if we take time to listen, as we also invite others to listen to our stories. I think we are a people and a church rich with hospitality and grace and the love of Jesus that we can share. There are lots of people who might need an invitation to please stay with us. The sun is setting, and it will be dark. Stay. Be with us. Let us pray. Risen Christ, whether we break fry bread or brown bread, fresh-baked rolls or plain white bread, rice crackers or wafers, you are with us. May we know your presence in the breaking, in the sharing, in the listening, in the walking, and in the praying. Even before we recognize you, may we welcome you in. Amen.
And we continue in prayer. Lord of the gathering feast, you walk with us on the shadowed road. Burn our hearts with Scripture's open flame. Unveil our darkened eyes as bread is torn and shared. And from the broken fragments, bless a people for yourself. Through Jesus Christ, the host of the world. Amen. We say together, Our Father, Mother, breath of life, open our hearts to love. Your Holy Spirit come upon us. Your way be lived by all creation. Give us today our food for the journey. Forgive us our sins and teach us to release others from the prisons of our hearts. Walk beside us through our trials and dissolve the evil within us. For you are love and life and mystery, now and forever. Amen.
Two down.
Praise
just want to thank you all for coming out this evening, and to Bishop Sandra for your time with us in the region. As I said at the beginning, I am the Archdeacon for the region, and part of what I do is to work in partnership with our regional dean, who happens to be Reverend Kathy Lee Cunningham, who is here. So I'm going to invite her up just to say a couple of words before we end our time together.
Just want to thank all of you for coming tonight and say a special word of thanks to Bishop Sandra. You are always thanking all of us for what we do, and I want to thank you for all that you do for us. It is a job that is pretty much 24/7. I know you try to get the time off, but there are always things coming to you, and there are things that people don't even understand for the most part that are really difficult that you handle for all of us. And so we wanted to just thank you. So I'll call you forward. We have a little gift for you. From the region that you can enjoy. It's for a place in the region called Mert's Kitchen. Oh, yes. Really good dinner date for you to take a night off. Yeah. So thank you for everything.
Okay, just one more quick thing and then I'm going to let you go. At the back of the church on the table, there's a bag for every parish in our region. This is coming from the Diocesan Environmental Network, and some of you may have gotten these seeds of hope before, whether it be at Synod or if Claudia just happened to have gotten in contact with you and sent you on your way. So at the back, like I said, there's one for every parish. If you wouldn't mind grabbing it and taking it back to your parish to distribute within your congregation. And there's a little brochure with an explanation of what it's all about. So I don't have to tell you and you don't have to remember it this evening, but please grab it on your way. I think that's it. Thank you all, and safe travels home.